You might be wondering how to clearly distinguish political parties from pressure groups when writing your UPSC answers, and which points fetch you marks on that tricky polity question. By the end of this video, you will be completely clear about what makes a political party different from a pressure group, and how to present that clarity in the exam. We will start with simple definitions, build a visual picture, compare roles and methods, and end with an exam-focused insight most UPSC aspirants miss. Think of a political party as a full team aiming to run the whole ship of government, while a pressure group is like a specialist crew advising or nudging the captain on one issue. A political party is an organized group that contests elections to gain office and implement its program in government, a point emphasized by scholars like Downs and Sartori. The core feature you must remember for the exam is participation in elections and the intention to form government or secure mandates. A useful identification checklist for a party is broad political impact across time and region, individual membership, commitment to contesting elections, organizational permanence, and public political accountability. If a group only forms for a single local issue or avoids elections, treat it as a movement or NGO, not a political party, and state that difference in your answers. Why do parties exist? Imagine a society as a busy marketplace of competing interests. Parties organize these interests into programs voters can choose at the ballot box. Political parties aggregate and articulate interests, train leaders, draft policy platforms, mobilize citizens, organize government work, and provide legitimacy and opposition in representative systems. Party systems vary. One-party systems where alternatives are blocked, two-party systems with alternating dominance, multi-party systems like India where coalitions are common, and dominant party systems where one party rules for long stretches. In answers, using India as a multi-party example and contrasting it with a two-party or one-party case often demonstrates comparative understanding. Party functions are sevenfold: articulation and aggregation, recruitment, program development, political socialization and mobilization, organization of government, providing legitimacy, and accountability through opposition. Candidate selection methods also matter. Mention US primaries versus party-controlled selections in countries like India to show institutional nuance in your answers. Now switch to pressure groups. These do not seek to form the government, but they aim to influence policy through lobbying, litigation, campaigns, or specialized expertise. Pressure groups concentrate on specific causes or sectional interests and operate indirectly on decision makers rather than by contesting office in elections. Classify pressure groups in simple pairs: primary versus secondary, sectional versus promotional, insider versus outsider, and local versus national versus international. Anomic groups are a different category. They arise spontaneously, sometimes during crises, and can be disruptive to democratic processes, a point worth noting in critique-based questions. Methods used by pressure groups include lobbying, legal challenges, public campaigns, coalition building, strikes in the case of trade unions, and social media mobilization. Contributions of pressure groups include supplying specialized knowledge to policymakers, representing sectional interests, and deepening pluralist participation in policy debates. But be mindful of criticisms. Unequal resources create unequal influence. Accountability is limited compared to elected bodies, and wealthy groups can distort policy to private advantage. So how do parties and pressure groups differ in exam terms? Parties seek power and contest elections, while pressure groups seek influence without governing. Parties have broader programs and mass membership, whereas pressure groups are narrower, often focused on a single issue or sectional interest. Methods differ. Parties organize electoral contests and government formation. Pressure groups lobby, litigate, and mobilize public opinion to sway policymakers. Yet, they are complementary intermediaries. Pressure groups can influence party policy, and parties can institutionalize group demands when in government. A key idea many UPSC aspirants miss is linking these institutions to democratic quality. Ask yourself whether party competition and pressure group pluralism enhance accountability or enable elite capture. In a mains answer, briefly evaluate both democratic benefits and the risks of unequal influence to score higher on analysis. Practically, when you write about parties, include definitions, criteria for identification, functions, party systems with India as example, and a brief evaluation of contemporary challenges. When you write about pressure groups, define them, classify them, list methods and roles, and critically assess their strengths and limitations for policy making. Use a short comparative table in your mind while answering. Objective, methods, membership, accountability, and relation to the state. And then explain each point with one crisp example. To make your answers stand out, add one contemporary illustration, such as a trade union strike, an environmental NGO campaign, or party coalition dynamics in a recent election, and link it to theory. Quick recap. Parties contest elections to gain power and govern. Pressure groups seek to influence policy without seeking office. Both aggregate interests but differ in scope and accountability. Remember key identifiers for parties: electoral participation, organized membership, permanence, and public accountability. And key identifiers for pressure groups: focused aims, indirect methods, and specialized expertise. For UPSC, this topic falls squarely under polity and governance, especially GS2, and comparative or analytical questions on party systems and pressure group influence are frequently set in mains and interviews. And as promised, that key point most aspirants miss. Always evaluate institutions in terms of democratic quality. Not only what they do, but who they empower and who they may exclude. You are almost exam ready on this topic if you can clearly define, classify, compare, and critically assess parties and pressure groups with one or two examples. If you want more practice, detailed notes, model answers, and quizzes, continue learning with EduRef, where topics are broken down for UPSC clarity and recall. Keep practicing short answer structures, add a critical evaluation line, and return to revise examples. You are building the clarity that translates directly into marks. So keep going and good luck.